G'day mates, it's your host Mary O'Neill Phillips and you are listening to Country Outdoors Podcast.
Guys, I'm here with Styles, and for anyone who doesn't know Styles, it's very hard to get him to sit and be still for more than 30 seconds. So I'm trying to wrangle him in right now. Styles!
Okay, yes,
oh,
yes.
Styles!
I'm coming, yes.
Okay, we're going to see if we can actually do a podcast with Styles and get him to sit still for, at least 20 minutes.
I have
Because we want to dig in on your stories and find out about your life growing up and some, how you've gotten to where you are today. With those.
Are we starting right now?
We're on. We're hot. We're
Okay.
hot. We're hot.
Can you just turn your mic a little bit towards you?
Yeah.
Like on stand.
Yes.
How's this Joker? Oh, wow.
There we go.
You sound good.
All right.
I got you a water there.
Oh, perfect.
That's fancy. All right, Styles. We're here. You're not unfamiliar to country outdoors. We've had you at our shows. We've had you in hunt camp, but we really have never sat down and got your full story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like your career right now is really starting to pick up a lot of momentum. Your hunting career is also starting to pick up momentum.
Mm-hmm.
You're a husband, a dad to 2 beautiful kids. Tell us, okay, grew up in Ohio. Ohio.
Yes.
Your dad got you into hunting?
Yeah. Since I've been a little kid, like if I went out, since I've been in diapers, or as soon as I was out of diapers and I could pull a bow back, he had a bow in my hand. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about the relationship with your dad and growing up in Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, my dad was a mechanical contractor. He owned his own business, and there was a large farm that our property had butted up to growing up, and we would hunt that my whole life. I mean, and all of his buddies and friends, they would he was hunting his whole life too, so he had passed it down to me, and then it was just like tradition for us all to get together every year. I mean, anything that you could catch on a line or harvest from the field, he was doing that.
What does that look like, though? Is it like, how old are you on your first hunt?
I killed my first buck at 6.
That's a good age.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good age, I think, because by that, Zach and I talk about this a lot, and it's like by that age, you can understand at least the weight of it a little bit, as opposed to just, and you can pull the trigger, and
It was with actually with a 10-point.
Crossbow.
And I have it on film.
So
My dad filmed it, yeah.
Really, where's the film?
Me and 10-point and I did like how it was and how it's going. We did one of those little content things of that, yeah. So, yeah, I have it. I'll have to dig it out of the hard drive and send it over. It's funny.
For sure. Okay, and so when did the music stuff, like the music interests, start in your life?
So there was a country band that practiced would rehearse in my dad's shop. My dad had rebuilt the motor on this muscle car for one of the drummers in the band, and I would always go out there and ask him to play his drums, and like I was just intrigued by it because I would hear them rehearsing out there all the time. And the guy in this cover band had reminded me so much of Tim McGraw at the time. That was like when his Live Like You Were Dying record was out, and it was like, I mean, they would play a lot of songs off that and stuff. It's just cool. And then so my dad had rebuilt the motor of this guy's muscle car that was in the band, and he had bought me a drum set in return of like just like as a extra payback for my dad to, I don't know, he saw you lurking cut around some deal
probably.
Cut some deal with my dad, but also went out and bought me my first drum kit, and they had given it to me. And then me and a couple buddies in school, we were in 4th grade, we were skateboarding and hunting and fishing and playing baseball, and their parents had bought them guitars and a bass and a guitar. Well, then we decided to start a band, and we would play these birthday parties.
What was the band called?
It was called Unwritten But True, and we would go by UBT because we couldn't think of a name.
That's
actually pretty
And it was
cool
like-
for like
it was-
fourth
It
graders.
was unwritten but true. It's like we were always going off like these like, I don't know. I think we were inspired by like punk rock or stuff like Blink
Pretty
182.
deep,
and-
unwritten but
Well,
true.
I know. I think
Mysterious.
Dan is still in my band now.
Really?
Yes, so he was in the first band in fourth grade, and he still plays with me now. And I blame Dan. If Dan's listening to this, you are to blame for the band name that everybody always asks about.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of unwritten but true between you and Dan by this stage.
Oh, jeez.
Probably
Yes.
things that no one should ever hear about.
Never.
You collect people though, like Jared. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You do. You've got a little core group of boys, not boys, men that you collect
Boys,
and you bring
whatever.
around. Tell us about Jared and your friendship.
Okay, Jared's awesome. I mean, there's I don't know. It's not like I purposely collect these friends. I mean, we just like, we strike a common thread, interest, whether it's hunting or something funny happens, or who knows what it is that when or how we become friends with these people. And I like Jared. Jared's he's a character.
How did you meet Jared? And so for those of you who, okay, you guys might not have ever seen Jared. I think he's been on our show. We first met Jared in duck camp when Styles told us he was bringing his cameraman to film.
Oh, yeah.
Cameraman steps in Jared, who's actually his just like best mate, who he wanted to come on the duck hunt, who had a handicap. So,
Yeah,
he fit the part.
Well, he did. He had our friend Nick, his handle is like MM90 Films. He does a lot of filming in the Florida Keys and stuff, and does some really great work down there. And he had sent Jared a link for the best camera to purchase for filming hunts and stuff. And we had tested it on a couple other things. So Jared really wanted to come along and be part of it. And I said, well, if you actually film or help film, you might be able to grab a slot,
Awesome.
So.
That's awesome.
And then I think he harvested his first ducks on that trip, actually. That was his first ever.
That's pretty cool.
And I know Meg and Patrick definitely outshot Jared, all of us, I believe,
Yeah,
which was hilarious.
Megan is she's definitely a bit of a badass,
Yes.
which is cool to see.
Well, and her and Jared were funny in the duck blind.
Bantering.
Yeah, they were bantering.
Oh, for sure, because it's kind of a little bit of like he's not a northerner, but he's got a bit of that northerner banter in him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the career. So you're in the fourth grade. You've created a band. You guys are having great success touring the world.
Every birthday party, every talent show, we would do those kind of things, which was crazy.
Which is awesome, though. And so then how does that progress then throughout high school?
Yeah, so it started there, and then junior high, I got moved to North Carolina. My dad moved his business down there, and I had met some of these like backwoods picker guys that I would hang out with them because I didn't have any friends at that time until I joined the football team down there, and then I had met some friends. But at that time when I first got there, I was just spending a lot of the evenings with my dad, hearing all these guys pick and play, and I was picking up on things then because I had a guitar at this point also, and I had just that kind of really sparked a lot of the cowboy country chords and stuff. So then you get inspired to learn stuff like that, et cetera. Then we moved back to Ohio from then, fired the band back up.
Got the band back together.
But now we had some new skills and stuff. And so we did that, and we would play here and there through high school and whatever. But at the time, I never really thought it was a legit thing. And then after high school, we had played a few honky tonks and stuff, and I kind of drifted off to where I was like, hey, I'm gonna really try to go for more of a country thing, just because that's what I naturally gravitates towards, And so then we had kind of gained a little traction around town, and we won this Battle of the Bands, the local honky tonk. Then we got to open up for Jake Owen and all these people through the Maine radio station there. And then we're like, wow, like this is just awesome. We love this. We want to keep doing this, trying to take it to the next level. Then I had met another artist, had me open for him in Cleveland, a Georgia guy, and he gave me a phone number down here to Nashville. He's like, man, look, if I'm going to give you any advice, you need to go record in Nashville. Like, don't try to record around here. Just trust me. If you wanted to do the country thing, go to Nashville. Well, I did that. My dad ended up selling his Corvette to help fund my first project. And next thing you know, we had cut a record of some songs that I had been writing, cut it in Nashville, and that guy had recorded Hurricane and a bunch of stuff with Luke Combs.
How did you find this guy when you got here? Like, what's the process behind that?
Well, no, I got the guy's number. Kenny Royster is his name. So I got Kenny Royster's number from another artist, Jacob Bryant, that was playing in Cleveland. So I was opening for Jacob.
Gotcha.
And Jacob gave me Kenny's number, and then
Jacob was one of like the early people that I had ever interviewed when I moved to Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Small
awesome.
world.
Yeah. So now me and Jacob reconnecting now that the music stuff has kind of started, and I just told him, that is crazy. I mean, it really did. That's where the truth of like where he gave me a phone number when I was opening up for him.
That's awesome.
And then I just took it and ran with it. And then when we recorded the record. And then I was like, went back to Ohio, and then I was like, man, this just ain't moving the needle. You know, this isn't what we're thinking. And at the time, when I was doing that, I was pipe fitting. So I was working construction stuff and then doing music. And then I had to quit the pipe fitting thing because I hated it. I mean,
It was draining you?
Well, I grew up with my dad doing that my whole life. I was just like, this is just not my path. I just was like this. And it is we need those jobs. I mean, it was like, it just wasn't my calling. I mean, had grew up doing all that stuff, so I had a knack for it, but it just, my internal compass wasn't moving from that.
Right.
So I switched gears. I was like, all right, I'm gonna switch some gears here. But my dad was like, you're not living here if you're not working, and like, this ain't no freebie, whatever. Because at the time I was living in his basement. At the time, like I had built out this little room down there. I was pimping out, thinking it was like a big deal. And my wife Bree, she was living with me down there. We were just dating at the time. And then, you know, my dad's like, yeah, you and your girlfriend now living in my house.
You're not living in the basement anymore, buddy.
Yeah, you're living in the basement. What are you doing? And now you just quit your good job. What are you doing? And, you know, I was like, I'm going to play music. And then I had
going to play music, Dad.
And I didn't start there first. I was still like doing music side note. And then I was doing a landscaping thing, a truck and trailer. I was cut grass. I'm like, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to college. Did some community college. I was going to go into nursing. I'm like, I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to try to do this. I started doing some courses in school. And then I was like, wow, you know, I barely made it through high school. And now I am definitely not made for college because it is just hard for me to focus. I'm like, I would like excel in the hands-on learn, like anything like that. Like, but then any of the textbook stuff.
Yeah, theory.
Like, yeah, I was just like, nah, this is not for Styles here.
So like the like gift of music was always there, and then you're kind of like getting distracted with these other things, trying to like, I need to make a career in money and la.
Yeah,
and
because
I
mean, a lot of people don't believe or think that it could ever be really a full-time gig. I mean, at the time,
because it's a lot of sacrifice.
That's and like, but it's like not even. I relate it after me. You know, it's probably weird to relate it to this, but like I have Amish buddies or ex-Amish buddies, and like similar to this sense of a lot of Amish people don't know how the average American is living outside of their church and their community.
And don't know how to leave because they wouldn't
but
know.
It's like foreign, right? I mean, it's completely foreign, and you don't even know because, I mean, you don't know. There's like, you've never even learned it or anything, right? Like that, you don't even know it exists.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was kind of a lot of people out there, they're living that same thing. There's somebody somewhere that has a musical gift of some sort, not wanting to do music, but doesn't ever think it's a reality. Mm-hmm. So kind of that scenario going on. So I was doing that, and yeah, it felt like, looking back on it, it was a lot of odd and jobs. And believe it or not, I was just talking to my writer buddy, James Slater, yesterday about this at his house, and he didn't know one of those odd end jobs I was doing. This is really weird. Maybe I should not even say this on the podcast.
Say it.
But,
Country Outdoors podcast is proudly presented by Nomad Outdoor. Guys, we've worked with Nomad Outdoor since the beginning of Country Outdoors, and there's a reason for that. They have the absolute best hunting apparel in the hunting industry. We have worn their clothing spring. We've worn their clothing in the fall. We've worn their clothing in the summer. We've worn their clothing on the ice. We've worn it everywhere. We absolutely love it. Guys, they're a Southeastern brand. They represent us. They represent sportsmen and women. Whether it's in the field or by the campfire, Nomad Outdoor has something for every occasion. So you'll come on, go check them out.
One of the jobs that I had picked up, I was putting the bodies in the morgue at the hospital. Because that sounds crazy. Okay, it is. It was crazy. But
Styles, you're really shaking me up here.
I know it is wild. But so let me explain though why I was doing that. So I was doing that because, now remember, doing music on the side, was going to college for nursing. My mom had worked at the hospital, and she's like, hey, you should pick up this security job at the hospital, because in the winters, no landscaping stuff. So I was like, well, I don't have the plow trucks. I can't be doing that. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I'll get a job doing security at the hospital. My mom's like, you can see what goes on in the ER, see if the nursing thing's for you. See if
she didn't know it would be protecting the dead bodies.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, I mean, well, she knew that, but I guess she didn't know because she wasn't in that department or something. But I was like, I went in for the interview stuff, and I wanted to get the job. They do the background check, whatever, security, doing all the stuff. Like, there's multiple things, but the main gig was like, of security of the Cleveland Clinic was, putting the handling the deceased, and I just couldn't. And for me,
where I'm confused on this whole thing is, who's trying to steal a dead body?
I don't think any.
Have you guys got like a big mobster crew up there or something?
No, I don't know.
You got big biker community?
For any security officers working in hospitals anywhere that is hearing this, I can speak right now. First off, you are one of a kind. Second off, you are not getting paid enough for what you do. Absolutely, that is true, because, that was horrible. It didn't take long. I quit. I did. I quit 3 months in, I was out skis.
Do you think we'll see a
and those
song
hospitals
about this
are
on God's
haunted.
Grocery Store?
I am proof those hospitals are haunted, because I had to walk them
Tell me.
by myself.
Tell us a ghost story.
I don't know. I don't really have any crazy ghost stories, but I have a crazy it's just so creepy because nobody's there. It was like it's just like
and
they would leave just a barely one light on. No, it's just like regular pieces of the hospital that nobody's in for when they go home or whatever. I have to go walk and use the beeper and make sure it's secure, and I don't have any weapons. I have nothing. I have a flashlight and a radio. I'm like, what am I securing besides?
You're a ninja.
Yeah,
apparently.
The only thing I'm securing is PTSD in my mind. Yeah, and then to end this story about this is my final straw was the guys at the hospital that I was working with. They played a prank on me, and they were watching on the cameras when I was securing the halls, and they knew one of the checkpoints that you have to secure is inside of the morgue in the basement. And the
morgue is in the basement?
This particular hospital, it was. And it was in the basement, and it was next to the lunchroom. So it freaked it up. My brain matched hospital food with the morgue now, so I can't
eat at a
I
hospital
can't eat
ever
hospital
again.
food. No, it's horrible. I can't ever even smell it. And this is only 3 months. I can't imagine these guys that are putting 10 plus years in over there. They're just numb to everything. 100%. I think. But no, they hid in the morgue, watched me on the camera, and that when I opened the morgue door, they jumped out And I did. I literally quit on the spot. I left. I was like,
That's it.
I'm like, that's it, dog. That's crazy.
It wasn't the like lunch
I mean,
food and the dead
imagine
bodies,
that.
but it was
Literally,
them
just
jumping out
imagine somebody.
at you. Oh yeah.
The job already sucks. Like, you know, that portion of it at least.
Wow.
And those jokesters got to hide in the morgue and scare Styles. Like,
Do you think that they're still there? Because if
There's
you are,
no
the
way.
joke's on you now.
yeah.
Look at where he is.
No. But it's like, if they are, I'm like, I give them credit. Because
You know what? If
that's
they
huge.
are,
if they
let's say thank you.
Yes.
Because
thank
you quit
Yes.
and now you're here.
Yes, absolutely.
So
thank
thanks.
you for hiding in the morgue and scaring me. And I quit 3 months into that job.
Oh,
And then,
my God.
so then that chapter closed, and it finally hit me where I was like, okay, I'm going to save up enough money, and I'm going to move to Nashville. And me and my wife, Bree, who's from my hometown, we packed up a little trailer, and actually the car that I still drive now that everyone asks me, where's the truck, dog? Where's the truck? Why aren't you driving this big truck? I'm still driving the same car that I came to town in. The wheels are about to fall off, so it may not last much longer, but I've made myself a promise that it has no AC right now.
I respect that a lot.
So it's crazy. So, hey, if there's any dealers out there that are listening to this, trying to hook me up with a cool truck. No, I'm just
It
kidding.
could. Hey, maybe there's even some of those. What are the cars that they
Tesla?
use for? No, I was going to say the ones that they used to take to the funeral home.
Oh, a hearse.
If
No
there's a hearse
way.
company out there that
If it's
wants to-
a camo hearse,
there we go.
no way. I couldn't do it. That stuff freaks me. I really couldn't. No way. That's a really weird piece of my story that a lot of people would never guess.
Is this the first time you've like? Told
Yes,
it?
and besides Slater yesterday telling him about this, like, because people had asked me, man, what were you doing before this? It's like, well, a couple things, the landscaping was way better than that. Like
I don't know. That's a golden nugget right there. I'm really glad that I know that. Just for my own, there's going to be some future pranks.
And I blame my mom. My mom, literally, Styles, this would be a great job for you to get in there.
Well, who thinks that when they go for an interview for security that it's going to be like to watch dead bodies in a morgue, in a basement on top of that?
Yikes.
Okay, so you moved to Nashville, and then what does that look like?
Holy smokes. I mean,
How many years have you been here now? When did you move here?
2018.
Okay. So you probably started to get a bit of momentum, and then boom, pandemic.
Yeah, I did. I was trying to condense it. I moved down here, and I was trying to meet people and meet friends, and build the Rolodex of connections and stuff, and write with a lot of people, and just build up the friendships and the stuff like that. You know, the network in town that we all try to do, and I realized very quickly that, the money I had saved every month, that would clink away. You know what I mean? Like, it was just dwindling. I was like, all right, we got to get cracking. Like, and I was trying to make a goal for myself, which I have stayed true to. Was since I moved here, I have been music full time, nothing else, just music. So I started self-booking gigs, calling, acting as my own manager at the time. Same with Jared. This is where Jared comes back in. He was calling, acting like somebody that he didn't even know what he was saying on there. He's just saying, like, just say this. And then we would land a couple gigs here and there. And so that started to happen. And then Rob Snyder, who runs like Revival and stuff, and he invited us, or invited me to come down and play Island Revival at Island Dogs in Key West for the BMI Songwriters Festival. And I was like, dude, we got to do this. This is a networking thing. We got to, and at the time I was taking like Dan and all the people that were in the band at the time. We were just like kind of rolling together, because it's like, hey, you guys want to play? I mean, it could be a cool thing. Everybody hoping for the long haul, not knowing really how long the long haul is, because people fall off along the journey, and that's not by my choice, but by their choice, you know.
And every trip like that, when you're like on that grind, that's a lot of money out of your pocket.
Yes, so
Yeah.
that was okay. So this is an interesting thing. That little car that I've been talking about that I've been keeping, we finally made the executive decision as a group. Brianna included, my wife included. This is pre-kids or anything like that. We're like, all right, we're gonna go down there. We're gonna sleep in the car. We are gonna drive there and we're gonna sleep in this car. We'll put our food in a Yeti, but we got to be there. We got to be at this thing. We got to build a network. We did. We slept in the Winn-Dixie parking lot, and we did. I remember going in there and buying bologna and bread. And
Zach would have loved you at that stage if you got it. He loves bologna.
yeah, but at the time it was like $1. It was like $1. And then I remember
From
like some
Dollar
of them
General.
have the red wrapper around the outside. And the one guy who was with us, he's eating it with the wrapper on. I'm like, dude, you have to peel that off before you eat it. It's like a red plastic.
He'd
I'm like,
never eaten bologna before.
then he's
probably.
eating plastic. I'm like, what is going on? And it's like it was like 1,000 degrees. That's exaggerated. It was more like probably 95, 100, you know, in Key West. And we were showering in our swim trunks at Sombrero Beach at the thing. So we would shower there, and then we were playing all the gigs. We had picked up a couple more when we were there, just networking. Hey, does anybody wants to play? People were picking us up, and we did.
Were you making tips at these gigs?
Yeah, we made like $300. We're like, dude, this is covering our fuel. This is getting crazy. Well, we're doing that, and we're having fun. Then we were meeting people, and we're like, hey, we got Instagram, Facebook, and stuff. Can we make some content for you and your jet ski company? Could we use some jet skis for like an hour? So we're like, okay, we're getting content. Like we were just out there like wheeling and dealing, like trying to make friends and just see what we could scratch up. Well, then one of the nights we played, it was like the second to last night we were there. And we had this is a funny piece of this story. We were sleeping in the car, and I kept telling this one guy that was with us, he was a ginger, like myself, and I told him, I was like, bro, you need to put sunblock on, you know, like you will get wrecked. And sure enough, he did. He got fried. And he was miserable. And he was sitting in, you know, we're sitting in the car trying to sleep in the car. And we would just roll the windows down. And he was overheated. And he whipped out this, he like bought a place. He bought one hotel. It was like $1,000 during that festival. He put it on his credit card. And for us at the time, we're like, dude,
because that's the only thing that would have been available, right?
Yeah, we're like, dude, you don't have to do that. We're like, but if your sunburn's that bad and you want to do it, like, we are not in a position to do that. But if you want to do, and he did, he swiped it. Next thing you know, we had one night in this hotel. We're like, oh man, this is upgrade. We're like, let's go. So, and then we met this guy, who's still like part of our team now at that festival. This was like a huge piece of the puzzle for us at the time. We met this guy down there. His name's Mark Poyer, and he had approached us. He's like, dude, I want to help you guys. I want to invest in what you guys are doing and this, that, and the third. And he's like, Styles, I want to invest in the music, and how can I help you? So we ended up going to like this little shindig party that he was at. Got coffee with him the next day. He's like, all right, we're in Key West at this point. And Mark's like, all right, I live up in New Hampshire by Maine. I need you to drive up there and we can talk business. And we're like,
In the mom van.
We're like, dude, we're in Key West. You're talking the opposite end of the United States. So we get in the little car. And before that, he's like, hang on, I got a house here in Isla Mirada. You guys can go stay there. We go there, and it was like it was just a beautiful place. And we're like, wow, this is crazy. We just went from sleeping in the vehicle to now at this place that was like,
That
wow.
has running water.
It was like, I mean, it was huge. I mean,
Yeah.
it was clear. He was pimping. He was balling. I mean,
Yeah.
But then he's like, oh, I need you to come to Maine. And we talked, whatever. We're like, all right. So we drove the Mazda all the way. We were taking turns driving. And I remember we were delirious we drove straight through. We never stopped. And we were just swapping. And people were crashing.
In one day?
Well, yeah, like taking turns driving and people sleeping. You know what I mean? So it was, we get up there and then we were all sleeping. I remember we were sleeping on his couches and like on the floor. And we were like, so we hung out there for a few days. And Mark's like, all right, look, we were looking at vans and stuff. And he's like, all right, let's become partners on a bus. And he's like, I want to buy you a bus. Let's do this thing. he's like, you guys can't be rolling around this Mazda. This is amateur hour. And I'm like, well, dude, this is all. He's like, no, I get it. I want to help you out. So we did. So we drove back to Nashville. Next thing you know, my dad, with being a mechanic and stuff, that background, come down. Mark Poyer flew in, and we purchased a Prevost. We purchased a bus. It was,
Sprinter.
It was like a 45-foot XL Prevost, full bus. And at that time, we're like, all right, let's roll. So then we got hooked up at the same time. It's like weird timing. A little independent booking agent started booking us all over. So we were playing I've played all these honky tonks, and it wasn't a lot of money, but we went from the Mazda. Now we're in this bus. We're playing all the time. I mean, everywhere. We went all the way to Bangor, Maine, back down to Key West, and went out to, Indiana. I mean, almost all, pretty much, I think, Nebraska was the cutoff of everything else east from Nebraska or that area
For
over.
driving.
Yeah, in that bus. We would all crash on the bus and we were basically living on this thing. We had content guy. We were doing but we were doing all these shows, and we were just making enough money to keep the bus rolling.
Right.
And pay the bills back in Nashville. But we were never there.
Yeah.
Well, then, so the next thing that happened is when we were there, I was still trying to network. Well, I had met Eric Hurt publishing of Black River. He started helping connect me with people, and then it hit him like, dude, where are you all the time? He's like, you're supposed to be in Nashville and you're not here. He's like, he was mind blown too, because he's like, hang on, how do you have a bus? And I was like, so I had to tell him the whole Key West story, and he's like, wow, that's crazy. Okay, well, that's an awesome tool, but I don't know how much that's going to move the needle. You playing all these honky tonks all over for
We need to get you writing.
Yeah, we need to get rolling a little bit. So he started connecting me with writers, and he's like, all right, we'll start doing that. Get some rights on top of you playing shows, because that's what you have to do to survive right now. I get it. So we did that. And then when I come back in town, I'll be writing. Well, then
when you're on the road, though, are you playing covers or originals?
Mixture of whatever we could sneak in. If we would start playing originals and the crowd would die off, we'd pimp up the covers again, start doing whatever. And then they'd get really crazy, and the more drunk they got, then we'd slip some originals in there, and then they wouldn't really care. We were just we were selling merch and doing whatever we could to do that. And what was crazy is, so after I started writing in town, one of my songs got put on hold by John Party, and next thing you know, we had some meetings and stuff. I ended up getting signed to Warner Chappell. That freed up to where I didn't have to be on the road as much. So then it went to being a little more strategic, this, that, and the third. And then before we knew it, we finally made the choice to okay, we can do more strategic shows and writing and in-town gigs and stuff like that than this beating the pavement. But then about that time, I got signed to CAA, booking agency at that time. And then they started putting me out for some of these big openers like Darius Rucker, Brantley Gilbert, Dwight Yoakam. I played that Fire Lake Arena, Oklahoma with Dwight. And it was and we were using the bus, and it was ramping up and stuff. And it was really getting cool. And then, and then COVID hit, and then that went downhill.
So what happened? So tell me, for you, when COVID hit, what did that actually look like?
It looked like everything stopping.
Just everything?
Yeah, all the shows and stuff. The shows were donezo. And then I was just writing via Zoom. But during that time, I know some people struggle with it. For me, I kind of thrived in it. I was like, I couldn't go and do anything else. And I am the kind of person, I have to be constantly doing something or I go crazy almost. So we had buckled down writing via Zoom, and we wrote Country On during that time.
So that's Luke. When that was birthed.
Yeah.
Okay. And so tell me about that process, because obviously Country On is your first number one. Mm-hmm. Luke Bryan cut it. So the whole writing process behind that. Where are you?
So when we first come up with the idea, we were on phone calls. It was 5 different calls or multiple Zooms, multiple versions made of it. And, I was in Nashville, bebopping around like the Gallatin area, talking on the phone. We were doing this all the time with multiple songs. Like a lot of songs were created during that time period, and it was just kind of one of those in that batch. And then got sent over to Jeff Stevens, Luke's producer. They loved it, and next thing you know, it was the single, and we're like, holy smokes, here it goes. This is actually happening or whatever.
So the pandemic was actually like pretty fruitful for you.
Yeah. I got married during the pandemic too.
Yeah.
It was and then I don't know how long did it technically last?
I guess it was kind of a year and a half.
So yeah, somewhere in there, and then
Bree got pregnant.
Bree got pregnant with River. And yeah, I mean.
And so then what does that look like? So Luke Bryan picks it up, but it actually hits number 1 in 22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
everything's open again when it hits number 1.
Yeah,
So, it's
so
kind of perfect timing for you, really.
Yeah. And at the time, I had gotten caught up in different managers at the time that just didn't fit well with me and what I was doing. Like, you just got to find your people and stuff. And at the time that I got caught up with some managers that just didn't fit well with me, and then I got away from them, and it just I didn't have a really good strategy and plan in place.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back now, that's what I really needed even then. But we did like Billboard and we tried to keep rolling.
I just heard Ty burp behind the camera.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even ring you. That was just chest to throat.
Really? That was you holding it in?
That was me holding that in. I'm so sorry. I don't think the mics picked that up. But yeah, that did happen. It was like a frog.
This is all good.
It's great content, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So everything opens up, and so you've now, like you having the team behind you. It seems to be everything. Like having people that see your vision, that that understand as well. Like your career side and the hunting side, and that goes hand in hand, and that you're a believer, and all these things that like are who you are.
Well,
and don't challenge that.
Yeah, and it's like, at the time I was following direction from a team that was in place that wasn't technically the right team that I needed for me, and my visions were not linear with other team members at the time. Right. And that's like I like to call my hat era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's,
true.
That's having
a
team around you, a team around you that's telling you things that are not versus me just 100% being myself. And
hat era. Okay, so can we explain what the hat era was? It literally, like, you're wearing a hat all the time, like not a cowboy hat, but like a styled.
So I made the hat. I made the hat for my wedding. Me and Brianna had made matching hats, and just to have for our wedding.
Yeah.
And I had wore them in some of those photos, and the team I was with really liked that look.
Right.
And they're like, we think you should really roll with this, and I was trying to follow the guidance of my team at the time, and it just ended up not being me. It's where it landed. So but that's okay. You gotta
learn these things.
You gotta fail forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, kept rolling from there and just chipping away, putting more songs in the well, trying to make more content, really stay on brand for myself. And then I met, about right around that time, right after basically the cool down of Country On, I had met my current manager now, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do the old tie. No, so I met Chris. Chris is Rachel Thibodeau. She wrote Good Directions with Luke, actually. Mm-hmm. That's her husband. He was in radio for a long time, had a show, Tony and Chris. I mean, had a lot of great success in the industry. He come on board to help me do strategy and social media, and just I didn't have a manager at the time. I was just like trying to get somebody on board to help, and he's like, "Hey man, I'll get in the trenches with you. I'm trying to build a new company here in Nashville. I need a new artist. So we started working together, and then like I think it was about 6 months to a year in, we're like, dude, we work really well together.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. Like, it was just one of those things that worked. And then we're like, Chris started actually looking for managers for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to a bunch of his friends in the industry who manage huge artists. One of those managers is Keith Gale. Mm-hmm. Keith Gale's Jake Owen's manager and partner. And I believe Keith had told Chris, like, dude, why don't you manage him? You have everything it takes to be a manager.
Yeah.
Then Chris approached me, and I was like, dude,
this is great.
let's run it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a new artist. You're a new manager. If you're willing to get into the trench, that's all I could ask for.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we had buckled down over the last 2 years, going over a little over 2 years now of just creating a plan, focusing in on all the different sections that you try to focus in on as a writer and as an artist, from the brand to a strategy of releases and content and building the team around us. And one thing that I love about Chris is we both landed on the same thing. We both want a non-toxic work environment. Our morals are the same, just our beliefs and our morals and what we stand for when we're out on the road and what we're doing.
That's huge.
And we're just like, dude, this is so cool. Like, and we just were like, all right, let's just push this as hard as we can and take it as far as we can. Wherever we land, if we're still surviving, if there's diapers on the kids, light bulbs are on, and food is on the plate, we are winning.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just take it day by day. And that's what we've been doing. And it's been very fruitful. I mean, we've been celebrating the little wins and the big wins whenever we can.
Well, you are who you surround yourself with. I'm a huge believer in that. And I
Yeah.
think that part of maturing as a person, human being, as an artist, as a friend, as a sibling, son, all these things is like realizing, like what you said, the fruit of the tree is the fruit that you bear, and that's what it says in the Bible. And I think you start to realize that as you grow. Hopefully you start to realize that as you grow. And if you surround yourself with people that are of that fruit, then you guys will grow together and hopefully in the right direction. And if you fall, you're going to have people around you that are going to help you and re-navigate through that too, which is awesome.
Zach, myself, and the Country Outdoors family are proud to have Hawk Optics as a sponsor. When it comes to clarity, precision, and overall quality of the product, we have found Hawk Optics to be top of the line and field tested their products year round and had great success. You can check out this example here on the screen of my recent Colorado elk hunt where I harvest this monster bull elk using the Frontier 30 SF hooked up onto my fix from Q. All right, guys, I have a confession to make. I have a terrible sense of direction, and it's no wonder I haven't got lost in the woods or eaten by a bear at this stage, but there's a reason for that, and it's because I have Onyx Hunt. Onyx Hunt is incredible. It's an incredible mapping feature, and it has helped me navigate my way out of some pretty sketchy areas using the compass feature. I've been able to get back to my truck. I've been able to drop pins and waypoints to be able to coordinate how to get to A to B, to be able to find that turkey that I saw on the road and knock and get permission. Guys, though, if you really want to know who's a fanatic at dropping pins, it's my husband, Zach. If you look in his phone, he has thousands of these pins. If it was the 1920s, he'd be able to trade them and get some money out of them. But don't take my opinion. Go and download Onyx today and check it out for yourself. Good luck this fall.
Let's talk about God's grocery store. Because, we've spoken about your career and how you got there for a long period of time, but I think equally as big a part of your life is your outdoor passions.
Yeah.
And then pairing those together. And so God's grocery store is just perfect. It's a perfect depiction of who you are.
Yes.
And of him.
Yeah. And so through me and Chris working together, one of the things we did is we really honed in on branding as far as asking that question of like, who is Styles? Like he was asking me these questions and stuff. And I just kept going back to like, if I'm not playing music, I'm in the woods or I'm fishing or something in the outdoors, homesteading or something, building barns, hanging out with my ex-Amish buddies. Like that's what I'm constantly doing if I'm not playing music or with the family, and, as far as other hobbies or whatever. But God's Grocery Store was born originally when I had created a page on YouTube, it wasn't musical at first. I created the YouTube as a place because my previous team was like, you're getting a lot of harvesting on your page. We need to keep it music. And I was like, all right. So I created another thing called God's Grocery Store. And Brianna, I had that idea in my mind of the deer in the shopping cart, and she made the logo, and I was like, that's it. That's the Country Boys Nike. Let's run it. Boom. I put it on everything. I was obsessed with it. I wanted to get it tattooed on me. And she said, no way. I was like, I wanted to get it tattooed on my hand. I was like, I love this logo. She's like, you're literally crazy. Like you're jumping the gun. You don't need to be getting this thing tattooed second I design it. Like that's ridiculous. But I was like, dude, it's so cool. I don't care what people think. I want it. Like for this. Anyways, so I made it my screensaver on my phone. And that's where it lived for a while. We were putting these horrible amateur hour hunt films on there that we try. I mean, like Nick did a really good one, actually. The film guy down in the Keys, he did some really awesome film stuff. But we would just I would just self-film this stuff that I was going and hunting and doing the bear hunts and whatever. Cause it's like, hey, it's better than not having anything. I'm going to try the best I can and whatever. At least people can see what I'm up to when I'm not doing music. Mm-hmm. Well, I was writing with Dave Turnbull and Casey Beathard. Casey Beathard said, man, what is that on your phone? That deer in the shopping cart, the screensaver. I said, oh, that's God's Grocery Store. He goes, God's Grocery Store? What is that? I said, like where I put all my hunts and stuff. He goes, well, why don't we write that? He goes, that's clearly what you do and what you love. And man, I lit up like a Christmas tree, and I was like, oh my, and we started writing it, and that song fell out. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like I was like, this is it. This is where I finally found myself and what I'm doing. And when I switched my entire brand and my whole project over to God's Grocery Store and mixed in kind of like, I mean, a lot of people have related it to like almost like the Hicks tape, but it's definitely more country boy, I would guess, or like outdoorsman, more outdoorsman than like the Hicks tape is maybe. But that's kind of like the way I was seeing it, because we would have all these songs, these hunting and fishing songs that nobody knows what to do with. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of even the publishers, people, man, this is great, love it, but I just don't know of a lot of artists that are going to sing about, hunting like this. And I was like, man. So I was like, all right, that's what God's Grocery Store will be. God's Grocery Store will be a home for all of those outdoor songs. Mm-hmm. And I started doing radio stuff because Chris was involved in the radio scene and stuff. And a radio guy had told me, he said, man, you're like the Jimmy Buffett of the woods. And when he said that to me, I was like, I am stealing that. That's so cool. I've never heard it said like that. Because he's like, man, all you want to talk about is this hunting or this moose or this deer or whatever. So I thought that was kind of a easy way to like sum up the God's Grocery Store thing is that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? It's like that, but for the woods, And since then, it's just crazy. When I turned the project to God's Grocery Store, everything really, I seen it really take a whole nother direction of like, when I took my musical journey and laid down the path to him, God's Grocery Store, shined the light on him, the boat totally turned. And we started seeing some major changes in a positive manner. And now it's been awesome. And
so how do you then, with like your songwriting, has it just been easy then, you writing the songs for the album? How do you stay in alignment with if you're turning it to him, honoring him throughout the whole thing?
So it's like, I know it's in my heart. You know what I mean? I know it's in my heart, and I don't I'm not. I
Don't
never
want
try
to overcomplicate.
Yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate it or like over preach to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because some people have asked that
Yeah.
before. They're like, hey, like, are you sure you want it? It's called God's grocery store. I said, well, yeah, that's what it is. And if that is something that somebody doesn't like, then they don't have to turn it on.
I love that.
You know what I mean? They don't have to listen to it. Nobody's forcing them to listen to it. But I know a lot of my friends and family and what's in our hearts and what we're living and doing is in those songs. And that's where they come from. So it's like, as far as hard writing the songs, it's like,
no, this is what I live and breathe.
And it's like funny because every time we do something, let me think of another song. Like there's another song on God's Grocery Store Aisle 1 called Dog. And that it's the hook is like, that's why God made a dog. And I wrote that song with my friends from Gundog. And they'd never written songs in their life. They owned, Gundog. Alex Langbell and his family, and they're probably all stoked, but it's real because they live that every day. They're like, that's their main thing is, hunting dogs and stuff. And I'm like, wow, it couldn't be more perfect to write that song with people that have so much knowledge and just little snippets and nuggets of things you can pull from what is real. And it come out awesome for God's Grocery Store. So
okay, the record is coming out in September?
October 18th it drops. Aisle 1, first one.
Aisle 1's coming out. And so what's the first track?
The first track is is called Deer Stand.
Perfect. That's awesome.
And that wrote it with Casey Beathard and Phil Billy. And I think it's one of my favorite songs, so I think it'll be good. And I got some cool features on this project as well, so I think the listener will really dig it too.
I'm excited about that. Before we wrap up, we have to ask, well, obviously, so this season on Country Outdoors, we're going to be showcasing your moose hunt. So we've got to dig into the moose hunt a little bit and how that came together and talk about that. And then I want to know what your plans are for the fall as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the moose hunt, just to keep it kind of concise, I would go up every year from when I went up to Maine originally. This goes back to the bus situation, like up in that area.
Yeah.
And I would play that. I played a honky tonk up there where I met a buddy. His name's Matt York, and he runs Back Road Guide Service. Met him. We become friends. I went up the last few years, ever since we had met, we would go up there and harvest bears every year. And it was just like bear camp, and we'd play, and I would play some other honky tonks. It was just super fun, right? Well, he called me this past fall, and he said, hey, man, how would you like to go on a moose hunt? I'm like, dude, there's no way. That's like lottery only. Like, what are you talking about? And he said, man, I got a friend of mine has cancer. He has cancer. He cannot afford to pay to go on the hunt. Would you have any interest? He said, hey, he'll let you harvest the moose. He wants to be there also. And split the meat up. And, you pay for the hunt and all the stuff. And you can harvest it with a 10-point or whatever, and he'll back you up. And I was like, all right.
Wow.
I said, that's awesome. Let's do it. So I talked to 10 Point, and they ended up sponsoring the hunt. And I took the kids and the wife and everybody. We drove up all the way up there. And they got a little cabin on the lake and whatever. And we trucked it into the woods, and it was the first day of the hunt. We got out there, and first day of the hunt, first morning, there was a small bull that come in, and I passed on that bull. I don't know something. Well, I just didn't want to harvest a little bull. My dad was with me too. My dad had just got his leg amputated. So he was having his prosthetic, and he had been practicing like callousing his leg so he can go on this moose hunt, because he's like, man, hell or high water, I'm not missing this moose hunt. So I was like, holy smokes. So we go up there, and my dad was like standing over my shoulder, and he was telling me, he's like, you will be in the Little Buck Club forever if you shoot that moose. And I'm like, oh man. So I had my dad telling me, like, don't you dare harvest that moose. That's a little guy. Like, what are you doing? and some of the other guys were like, hey, this may be your only chance. This is like, you know, you wanted, you get a lot of chattering, you know, and the moose was at 18 yards standing in front of us with no cover. I mean, there's a group of us behind like the smallest pine tree.
Because he was little.
Yeah, and
Big moose is not going to do that.
No, you know, and but this, I mean, he come up curious. I mean, and at 18 yards, even a little moose. I mean, you know, even
it's still huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, my heart was in my throat at that point. Yeah. And he's saying like, "Hey, man, you wanted to harvest the moose in bow range. I mean, that is as close as it happens right there." And he said, "We made the executive decision to not do it, but we all felt really good after." We knew we made the right call because we're like, man, if we don't harvest, we don't even care. That was incredible. Like we were just like all just going like, can we believe we didn't just get charged right there?
Yeah.
Because their ears start going back and weird stuff like that. You know, it gets a little
It's a
eerie.
God thing.
Yeah. So we continued on with the day, called and checked different clear cuts and stuff. And then we had ate a sandwich and stuff.
Bologna?
No, not bologna. We ate it on, but it was crazy because we had sat down in like some brush and he had the cow call still going while we're eating the sandwich. And I mean, it's just like those cows are the call is so loud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you could have a full blown conversation and you can barely hear each other when this thing's going off. It's like, so that happened and we were laughing about that. And next thing you know, the guide that we were with, Jamie and Matt, his brother was with us too. We had 3 guides on it, with us, but, it was kind of like it was more also like just a friend hunt, you know, like, just camaraderie of just guys going and trying to harvest, mature bull and like have fun and whatever. So he had heard of this mega bull in this one area, and it was a far hike. I don't know exactly how far it was in, but I was concerned for my dad because I was like, yo, I don't know if you should do
And the guy that had cancer, what kind of cancer did he have?
Liver, I think.
So how was he keeping up with everything?
Well, they had given him some steroid shots and stuff prior to the hunt and stuff. He actually was doing good. He was doing better than what my dad was doing with this one leg at the time. And I remember I told my dad, dude, you might want to stay in the truck. He did not take that well.
Absolutely no.
Yeah, he had cussed a bunch and said, I didn't come all the way here to sit in the truck. You know.
That's eloquent.
He told me I could basically go frick myself. So you can go frick yourself. I'm not sitting in the truck. You sit in the truck. So we did. We go all the way back, and we go all the way back, hike all the way back in there. We stop. I remember this little tree, like the tiniest little pine tree. We had sat down next to it, and the guy goes, oh, this is the spot, because he goes, this is where we have a picture of him on his trail cam. It's mega bull. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, well, maybe when dusk hits, this is the first day of the hunt. We dropped into this other clear cut, and they had a logging trail into some darker timber. He's like, we're going to go down here. And then right when the sun started to set a little bit, we closed the distance 200 yards to the spot he was trying to get. And we closed the distance, and within maybe 10 minutes of being there, we're standing there, and then he's running the cow call, and then we hear the grunt. It grunt a few times. And he's like, oh, there's a grunt. That's a bull. So he dropped back. He started, raking timber and stuff, and he dropped way back.
So he's coming from behind you?
Country Outdoors is thrilled to have partnered with Moultrie Mobile. This fall is an extremely busy fall for us. We've just been out in Colorado elk hunting, and now I have my Iowa tag that I drew, and Zach and I both drew Kansas, which means we're going to be scattered all across the country. So we've done the same with our cameras this season. That means we can get the intel in the field when we aren't there. As you guys know, when it comes to those big bucks in the Midwest, as soon as they pop out, you want to get out there as quick as you can. And because of Moultrie's crystal clear images and videos and the ability to connect to all 4 US cellular networks, You're never going to have to worry about getting those images and videos when you need them. The app is also loaded with amazing features like weather, mapping, and buck prediction in the game plan feature. Get an edge with the Moultrie Edge 2 series cameras and the Moultrie mobile app. When you think of the biggest hunting shows, the most legendary hunting shows in outdoor television, what channel do you think of? Outdoor Channel. Country Outdoors is very proud of our partnership with Outdoor Channel, which started during the pandemic in 2020 with our Turkey tour, which has now evolved into a popular adventure series 4 years later. We are available on all Outdoor Channel digital outlets, including My Outdoor TV. And guys, they're giving out a free subscription to My Outdoor TV, so go and check it out.
So we're standing like, so if we're on a trail, he is coming from the right, and there's one tree, huge dark timber, and one logging trail that's pretty overgrown, and he's coming, the bull's walking down the logging trail out of the dark timber. And we're in this giant field, and like there's a big, basically tree line with one logging trail. So now I'm turned facing it. The guide drops back. He starts raking, calling behind us. Other guides staying with us. And I remember we hid behind this. I mean, there was no trees because in my mind I was like, well, you know, if a giant bull charges or something, I'll just get up a tree. Well, then we got into the scenario. I was like, well, there's no trees. I'm screwed. Like this. So we wait, and we see the bull, and he's at 60 yards, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Were you shaking?
Well, I wasn't, because I haven't seen a lot of moose. Everybody else, like the guys that live there, and they were shaking uncontrollably. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, that's a shooter. You know, that's definitely a shooter. They're like, yes. Yeah, they're like, you know,
They're like, he's huge.
Yes. They're like, yeah. They're like, dude, they're like, don't even talk again. Don't even talk again. Don't even move again. That is absolute shooter, whatever. So we're sitting there, and this bull took like forever. I mean, it had to be 30 some minutes. I mean, to close a 60-yard gap. I mean, and then he came in.
You didn't want to take a shot at 60 with the
10 point. No, I did, just because it was thicker, and he was coming right at us.
Yeah.
You know, he's moving his paddles like this to hear the sound, and then he stopped, and he would come a little bit further, and he kept calling Rick, and then he dropped when the guy dropped another 100 yards back.
That's when he came.
He come and he broke in. Then he was at 40 something. And then we were talking. We're like, okay, when he steps out on the front of that, the tree line, basically where the logging path meets the field, or the big clear cut. I said when he steps on that clear the edge of that field, I'll take the shot. And he finally closed the distance and stepped out into the field, and it was straight. He was straight on, and it was 30 yards, 31.
Shoot him in the chest?
Straight on. And he reared back and spun around and went about 40 yards, and we seen him pile down. And we were freaking out. We were losing our marbles. I mean, yeah, I thought I had a slight heart attack for a second because I had like a quick chest pain. I was like, oh my gosh.
Did you like know straight away that you'd made a lethal shot?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, he dropped.
Yeah. When I see him go down, well, because at first, I mean, but I wasn't shaking. The other guys were, and the guy with cancer, he was shaking really bad too. I mean, not only because he was having to hold the firearm up for so long.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I mean,
super cool experience.
And yeah, and the moose, he had went down, and yeah, we were freaking out.
So at what point do you find out how special this bull is?
Well, when we went up to
It was a state record, right?
Yeah. All-time archery he ended up taking. So it was like, well, when we had got up to the moose, we were all blown away because I mean, at that time we're not thinking about any of that. You know, we're just like,
yeah,
this is
so
we
awesome.
held out because we didn't take the little, you know, like we held out. We did it first day. We had like 3 days to hunt. It was like, wow, this is incredible. And the guides were just like, they had been doing it for 40 plus years. They're like, dude, this is the biggest bull we've ever been a part of. And they're like, we had seen this bull on camera, and they're like, we're not even gonna lie. Like, we thought for sure we were not seeing anything, you know? And our expectations were pretty low. I mean, we were just in there having a good time. Just trying to have a good time. And if we get the opportunity, then we were going to take it. And we got the opportunity. And so then after that, we had got our pictures, did some content, and got the bull out. That was a pretty crazy thing how they did that with the truck and the canoe and the rope.
Yeah.
winch.
So so explain that.
Yeah. So I was like, I was thinking kind of like my elk, like, let's quarter it up. Like, all right, pack it out. And they looked at me like I was crazy. They're like, dude, you packing this thing out? I'm like, well, we're like 10 plus miles back in here. How are you getting it out? Those guys drove their truck through those logging trails all the way back in there, then ran like the longest piece of rope, put a canoe cut in half, tied the rope to the front of the canoe.
Where's the canoe? Like, was it already in the
back?
truck? They had it ready in case.
In case, yeah.
This is what the
a half a canoe. And and they tied a rope to the front of the canoe, brought the canoe down to the bull, tied his horns, put his nose into the front of the canoe, tied the horns up, and then winched him all the way across the.
What truck are they driving?
Actually, I don't even know. I think it's
we need a truck sponsorship, right?
Yeah, we do. I think it was a Toyota or something. It was like it was like not your standard.
Not a Chevy.
No, not a Chevy. I mean, it was what was it? A Toyota. Those like.
It was the mum van.
It was like the Yoder Toters. I don't know what it was. It was just crazy. But they winched all the way back. We were just mind blown. Like, wow, they got the whole the whole thing. Because they went to weigh it or whatever. So we got it out, hauled it back, took it to the processing station. They hung it up.
So they didn't gut it?
Yeah, I did. I did. And I pulled the arrow out in the field. Yes, I did. I did gut it. And it was crazy because my Alpha Knock, or 10 points version of a lighted knock, it was lit up in there, which was crazy. I mean, it was right in the. I have video of it pulling it out of the vitals, is what you hope to get on a so it's a lethal shot and stuff. Especially on that caliber of an animal, because wrong placement on that, and it's not.
It's a little slow.
Yeah, and you probably will not recover. So we got it back, and then people started chattering like, "Man, you guys want to get this checked. I think this is the new state record for archery." I mean, everybody around there talking. They see them all the time, and they're like, "Yeah, this is for this area." Versus Alaska, maybe it's standard bull, but for Maine, it was a huge deal for them up there. So I had brought it back to Tennessee. They had to, cape it out and do all the stuff. We had split up the meat. It was a fun little thing. We played music and did the thing and finished out the hunt. I had drove the moose back, and then the state of Tennessee, Cripple Creek Taxidermy sponsored the mount, and they tricked it out, and then incredible turnaround, like super fast turnaround. Then let the state of Tennessee come and score it there, because even any Division of Wildlife, I guess, has scores on hand or whatever. So they scored it, and then we turned the score sheets into the state of Maine, and they FaceTimed me. They wanted me to hold a tape on it,
to verify.
Yeah, what they call a knitting tape or whatever.
Yeah.
They had, and look on FaceTime. Yeah, they verified a couple things and took the score sheets, and then a couple months went by, and they ended up calling me and say, "Hey man, it is. It's new all-time archery state record, biggest bull of 2023, all weapon, and then also all-time crossbow." So, and I think the current state record was 181, and ours was 185 and 3/8, and the current crossbow was 147.
Wow.
And so we crushed that one. So, yeah, it ended up just being a cool thing. So this spring of 2025, we're going to go up and get all the accolades that come along with the moose, like all the things at the banquet and stuff.
So
the mastic or whatever it's called.
What was the gentleman's name who had cancer?
Scott?
Is Scott still around?
No, he passed away.
How long after that?
I think he passed away about a month ago from today. So.
Well, I'm so glad that he got to have that experience with you and
it was awesome. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he wanted. I mean, otherwise he wasn't going to do the hunt. They were just going to I think they can sell it or transfer the tags or whatever. And I mean, 10 Point made that happen, and it just ended up being a really cool thing. I mean, but between Back Row Guide Source, Matt put together all the guides. We all got a lot of meat. I mean, I ate. My family ate on just a quarter of that moose.
You still got,
and I still have some. So almost a year.
Make us some moose burgers sometimes, mate.
So I don't have any burger left, but I have steaks. So
bring some down.
We ate all the burgers.
When you come down, bring some.
Yes, I will bring.
I don't think I've ever had a moose steak. I've had moose like meatballs, but I've never had a steak.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Amazing.
I only had a quarter, and it fed all. I mean, it was just.
Yeah.
My dad got a quarter. The guides got a quarter. Scott got a quarter.
Huge.
And it was just like, what a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, just a trip of a lifetime, really.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's in my kitchen.
That's awesome. Yeah, and now your wife is like, you need to build a shed, which you're doing, aren't you?
Yeah, I just built it.
Is he staying in the kitchen or going to the...
He's going to the shop,
man
the studio,
cave. Man cave shed, barn.
Yes, I'm trying. Well, I plan to be able to do music in there. That's my whole goal.
So is that a barndominium?
Yeah, it's gonna.
So it's big.
I mean, yeah,
like enough space for a studio and man cave and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be. I think it'll be cool for we're gonna do a lot of the lives and cut the God's Grocery Store stuff, feature God's Grocery stuff in there. The moose can get out of the kitchen. That'll be really great. That'll make my home life a lot better. It's crazy. People come over, we get to have moose, and the moose is sitting there looking at us while we're eating him on the plate, which is crazy.
Zach and I both have elk hunts this season.
Oh, really?
For potentially to get big bulls, big elk hunts.
Where are they?
Colorado.
Oh.
Yeah, it was meant to be just Zach archery, and now I get to go and do a rifle hunt as well. And
bull tag with the rifle?
So Zach I'll be rifle and Zach will be archery.
But bull tag?
Both bull, yeah. And so, but
what,
we're both
at the same time?
Yeah, on the same
units?
Same, yeah.
But you have rifle and he has.
Yeah.
So if he sees a mega bull,
I'm gonna hunt. No,
so if Zach sees a mega bull,
we'll be. You'll be
able to hit it with a rifle before he gets the shot.
We'll be playing tag team on hunting, but we're going with a really good guide, and but we were both saying where are we gonna put both of them if we?
I have a good feeling. I can feel it now that I think you guys are gonna get some monsters.
Thank you. I hope so. This should be a big year for us.
You gotta make space for it. I mean, there's no other option.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
the kitchens.
Yeah,
kitchens
exactly.
Are good
we got vaulted ceiling now, but you've always got to have those where it's funny for people that don't hunt. I don't know what their goals are for home life, but for us sportsmen and women, you're well, you want to have your farm and then you want to have your barn because you want to have your trophy room and all these things,
Yeah.
So you got to get your goals increase with the animals that you harvest.
It's crazy, yeah. I mean, those are most of the arguments in my household.
Yeah.
Or just the prices of some of this stuff gets wild. I mean, the taxidermy is it's not a cheap hobby.
No, I know, and that's what stopped us from doing Africa yet is bringing that stuff back.
That can get crazy. Oh yeah. I've always heard a baboon mount would be crazy.
I spoke to somebody who did a baboon hunt, and she said all the other hunts were totally cool, but the baboon, she said,
weird.
She said they act like it's like a human. So she shot one baboon and the other baboon jumped onto it and was feeling his heart and stuff it's his friend because they're like little people. And she said she couldn't do it again.
Wow, that's and that's funny because a lot that actually brings me to a good, I feel like maybe a good topic to talk about is a lot of people ask about the hunting and stuff, and one thing for me anyways, and I know you guys as well, is hunting and harvesting stuff that you can eat.
Yeah,
I mean that's the main thing for a lot of us. I know there's some people that do it for other reasons or whatever, but for at least a lot of the circles we run with, That is, we have really no interest in harvesting things that are like the baboon thing. I mean, that would be crazy. But I know a lot of the tribes out there, they will eat they will eat the baboon.
Yeah, and like for Africa in particular, all the meat that's harvested, they do give to the tribes. But I 100% get what you're saying. I'm not going out and shooting whatever it is unless I'm going to eat
bring it to the table.
Unless it's like I'm going and helping. Like I do think that, when it comes to pigs, like, and culling pig populations, like, you can donate meat for pigs and stuff too, but like they just breed so badly that you have to manage the populations, or there will be more pigs than people on the planet, seriously, and the damage they do to crops and everything. So there are exceptions, but for sure, 100, exactly. That's really good stuff. So you're going to be coming down to our place in a couple weeks. We're going to be doing some fishing. We're going to be getting the moose episode together so that everyone can see that. But I guess the next big thing is the record coming out. Yeah,
we got. So I know you had asked me like, what are the plans for the fall and stuff? And actually, so right now, we got a new press release coming out. I've signed with Good Company Entertainment, which is a record deal that Chris, my manager Chris, teamed up with Keith Gale. Keith Gale and Jake Owen have a record company called Good Company Records, and I'm excited because I've teamed up with them, and we got more of my Styles music coming out, but also all the God's Grocery Store projects are going to be through them. They're also helping me form some really great nonprofit organizations and help for God's Grocery Store. We want to start a cool little foundation to start every year as we're developing these projects and watching them grow. We want to be able to use God's Grocery Store, the album, to also be able to do like donations for Hunters for the Hungry and stuff like that, and,
awesome.
and different food pantries and stuff like that to help out. So as far as the fall, that's we're gearing up to team up with Country Outdoors, team up with other great people in the hunting industry and stuff to promote the new record. And so I got 2 new albums coming, one August 30th. I got 1 single out right now. The new record, August 30th, and then God's Grocery Store, Aisle 1, October 18th.
Love it. And then hunts for the fall?
Hunts for the fall, yes. Well, we're kicking off with Velvet, Tennessee Velvet. It's September, August, end of August. And then I got bear in Maine, black bear in Maine. September. Then we come back, we'll start regular archery for Tennessee and hit we don't come back after the Maine bear hunt. I drew Eastern Oregon elk.
Awesome.
So I'm going out to Oregon for elk hunt there, and then we go into the deer stuff, and then October, November I have an axis deer hunt in Texas with 10 point in them, and then cap off the year in December with a new baby, with the wife, a boy. We're gonna have a new baby boy. So I don't know if I'll be able to do a lot of late season hunting. I think I'll be doing other activities.
Baby number 3.
Yeah, obviously it's gonna be crazy.
But you got your boy.
Yeah, I actually wanted another girl. Brianna got her boy.
You got used to it.
Well, I was in girl dad mode, and the girls are awesome.
You're still going to be a girl dad.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just...
We spoke about this on the phone, but I feel like you're going to have that boy there, and it's going to be,
I don't know what River might be... Stetson and River might be doing the most hunting.
You never know.
We'll see. I mean, I hope he wants to do that stuff. Well,
you're going to have to get used to now being peed on the face, though. That's a whole change up.
Because
girls, have a lot better aim than boys do.
Wow. Well... Looks like I'm going to be...
changing clothing before you go to the
goggles.
stand. So if there's a goggle sponsor that's on
if you got any diaper changing goggle companies out there, feel free. Just hit me up on the gram. We'll get you plugged.
Awesome. So very, very busy second half of the year. All good things, though. Great things.
Yeah, it's
good.
Yes, we're. I am. I'm
Things are
pumped.
good.
Yeah, it's good. It's rocking. It's crazy.
Yeah, before we wrap, Styles, we're going to play a little game. This is Australia versus America. He's going to show us a picture, and you got to tell. We've got to both say what it is.
Tinfoil?
Aluminium foil.
No way. What is it? Aluminium?
Aluminium.
That is a weed whacker.
It's a whippersnipper.
Yikes. Underwear.
Knickers or nut huggers?
Hey, speaking of boxers, I'm not sponsored by any boxer companies, but if they're listening right now, has anybody seen the boxers with the second floor in them? There's new boxers. My ex-Amish buddies were telling me about these boxers. They have a second floor in them, like it's like a kangaroo sack for
Sacks?
maybe. Really? It's got a second floor for
Yeah, they're pretty
no
What,
rashes.
They just hold your balls up.
Yeah,
We can talk about it more, for sure. I dig them.
it's no rash. I mean, anyways, a gas station,
Servo.
18-wheeler.
It's an 18-wheeler, but what is like lifted in front?
The motor, the hood.
A bonnet.
Hey, I like bonnets now. Kleenex.
Tissue.
Okay. What the heck? Biscuit?
Scone.
What the? Cookie.
A bicky.
Wow. This is Australian lingo? Wow. That's wild.
Well, Styles, it's always a pleasure. It's so good to finally have you on the podcast. I'm so
Yes.
excited. This is our first season being video and audio. We were audio only before, so you're coming in for the big kahuna. And yeah, everyone, you're going to be seeing a lot more of Styles coming up on the fall episodes, podcast, new record. It's awesome. All good
Yes.
things.
And hopefully you guys don't hear too much of my previous past of these crazy jobs. I mean, I feel like we spent a lot of time on the security job.
I mean, the promo bites for this is probably definitely going to involve the morgue. Let's be honest. Like we're going to lead with the morgue.
Oh my gosh. Wow. All right.
awesome.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Jeez, I should have left that out. I knew I should have.
No.